Today I'm going to be sharing my August money reset. So this is my monthly check-in where I check in with my budget, my sinking funds, savings goals, and how I'm working towards financial stability as a young 23-year-old. So if you would like a cozy but grounded approach to money and maybe a little inspiration to check in with your own finances, then this video is for you. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kenzie and I'm hopefully a future therapist and I love talking about all things wellness. So over on my channel we talk about finances, routines, cozy living, and becoming the kind of woman who feels at home with herself. I like to think of my channel as a warm, cozy little cabin in the mountains where you can come to and work on yourself and really come back to yourself and lean into both your grit and your softness. So grab a snack, drink, get comfy. You can maybe do your reset along with me if you'd like, and let's just jump right in. So first, I'm just gonna give a bit of context about my situation, just really briefly. So as I mentioned, I'm 23 years old. I live in Alberta, Canada. I'm wrapping up my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology honors degree, and I want to pursue grad school in the future to become a therapist. So I'm actually all done my coursework for my degree. I finished that up in the spring, and now I just have my research project. So I just moved back to my hometown and I'm working full-time in social services, and I have no debt, fortunately. And yeah, July was good. I was back in office full-time. I started June 30th back in office, so I've been working from home during the school year. I also work as a server bartender, and then I did do some dance work this month, but I won't be getting paid till early August. So that will be in my August budget. But so yeah, let's just jump right into the July budget. I'm actually really happy with it. I feel like I had a really spendy couple of months for a little bit there, and I just felt really out of control. And I feel like every month it just gets better and better, and I feel like I'm taking a very sustainable approach to it. For my income, it was more than anticipated because of tips from my serving and bartending job. So I tend to estimate and budget for the very lowest of the range that I typically get. And that usually leads to me making a lot more money than I anticipate, which is nice. It gives me wiggle room and then I can save extra. Is there anything else that's special about my income in July? Not really. Oh, I got a GST refund from the federal government. My fixed expenses. So this was my last month paying rent. So excited, at least for a year or so, I'd say. I have been paying rent in the city that my university is in for years now, and it just feels so good to not have that payment anymore, which I know is definitely a privilege. So I'm happy at least now I get to start saving a little bit before I buy a home. And then the rest of my fixed expenses were the same. So my phone bill was $94.63, Spotify $6.71, Kindle $10.49, and I have an $11.95 checking fee. For gas, I budgeted $200 and I spent $94.79. So we love that. That's great. When I was in the city, I was spending a ton on gas because I was going back and forth from my hometown to the city a lot. So I expected it to drop, but not really that much because normally I spent over $200 a month on gas. So this is definitely an improvement, and I'm able to walk to work now, so that helps out too. It will probably be higher in August, but I think it'll still stay fairly low. Groceries. I budgeted $150. I figured, oh, I'm moving back home, I won't have to buy as much. I can split with my parents. They ended up being gone a good chunk of the month, and then obviously I'm just buying everything. And I did buy a lot of my own protein. I do my meal prepping, and if we don't have stuff, I'm just gonna go buy it kind of thing. I'm not gonna ask my parents to buy it. I'm 23. I spent $259.33, which is still far less on average than I was spending on groceries. So it did go down, but I think I overestimated a little bit how little I would have to spend on groceries. So, and also in my town, groceries are just more expensive than they are in the city, so there's that too. Yeah, I kind of adjusted that accordingly, you'll see, for the August budget, because I think in my July reset, I was like, I'm just gonna try out the $150 budgeted amount. If it's not right, I'll adjust going forward. And I definitely have to adjust. So for my expenses overall, I budgeted $473.78, and I only spent $477.90. So I did go drastically over on my groceries, but I was only $4 over my budgeted amount. And then again, my income was more, so it ended up being totally fine. For savings, in July, I saved for my emergency fund. I save for this every month. And then I also saved up for my like tattoo fund because I got a tattoo this month and I do want more in the future, and tattoos are very expensive. So I wanted to put money aside for it because I know I do want more. So this is the tattoo. I'm obsessed with it. Like, oh, I think it's so cute. It is fine line, so it will definitely fade more, but it's like mountains and then florals here. And also this is with the second skin on, and this is only like 3 days after, so it looks blurry right now because the plasma and ink is like oozing out. Sorry if that's gross, but yeah, I'm obsessed with it. As for my sinking funds, I contributed to my therapy account, my beauty appointments account, Christmas gifts, vehicle maintenance, and fun money, as well as my tuition and grad school. So overall, I put $1,145 to my sinking funds, and $1,000 of that was for tuition and grad school. But yeah, that is my priority for kind of summertime. So you'll see in August, that's again where most of my sinking fund money is getting put towards. I invested in both my TFSA and FHSA, so tax-free savings account and first home savings account. And I mentioned this in my payday routine video, but because I ended up having extra income that was left over, I contributed extra to my FHSA with that leftover money. Okay, now into the fun stuff, which is the spending. Overall, I budgeted $600 for spending, and I spent $737.81. Definitely over budget, but not too bad. And with my additional income, as I mentioned, I was totally fine. And like I said, had extra money to actually invest more. So that's another reason I really like to just like underestimate my income. It leaves me a good buffer in case I just go over. Yeah, let's break down how this was all spent now. Dining out, I budgeted $60 for July. And I mentioned in my July reset that the reason I set such a low budget is because I just don't really eat out as much in my hometown. Whereas when I'm in the city, that is one of my activities that I do more often. And then also my boyfriend is in my hometown, so often he pays when we go out to eat. So yeah, and I ended up spending $79.02, which is actually really good considering. A good chunk of that, like I want to say $60 of that, was me bringing out gifts to my family member that is freshly postpartum. I became an auntie in June, so I brought them dinner from a restaurant, like takeout, and went and visited, and that was a good portion of that. So I probably could have put that in gifts, but my gifts, I was over on gifts anyway, so it didn't really matter where I put it. Considering that, I actually did really good with that. So shopping, I budgeted $190 and I spent $177.01. So I'm very proud of this. This is definitely a category if I'm gonna overspend in a category, it's usually that one. So I'm actually like so happy I came in under budget for that one. What did I get? I restocked some skincare products and some bags for my sourdough that I bake. I got a hair gloss and body oil. I always put that on after I shower and I ran out. I restocked my oil cleanser for my face, and then I got some cute press-on nails that I think I'm gonna put on in the next couple days. And yeah, that was all I got really, so not too bad. Skincare definitely tends to add up. So I'm really happy I came under budget, and I'm sorry if you hear our little puppy barking. Don't mind him. Personal care, I budgeted $100. I did get a lash lift and tint, and on the website it said it was $85, and then I was considering like a 20% tip, so I budgeted $100. I forgot that there would be like GST on top of that, so it ended up being $89, and then I tipped on top of that. So I ended up spending $107.10. So not a huge difference, and I didn't like buy more than I was expecting. It just ended up being more expensive. So that's what that was, but I loved the lash lift and tint. I think it looked so good. I have really like naturally blonde eyebrows and eyelashes, so it was definitely worth it in my opinion. Gifts always get me. This and shopping, those are always the ones that do it. I budgeted $50, and it's not too bad. Last month's gift budget was really bad, but I budgeted $50 and I spent $78.73. This was pretty much all for my friend's birthday. Health, I budgeted $65 for my gym membership, and I was exactly $65 just for my gym membership, so that's great. Coffee, I budgeted $15 and I ended up spending $31.15. It's not terrible. I'm not mad about $31. I think that's fine. Hobbies, I budgeted $20. I spent $0. This actually makes me sad. I feel like I've been budgeting for my hobbies the last few months, like a good amount, and I keep like not spending money on it, and it is making me sad. Like that is something I would like to spend my money on, like my hobbies. So that is something I want to be conscious of moving forward. So now the reason primarily that I'm over budget, as I mentioned, just moved back home with my parents, and I have been living away from home the past couple of years. I did live with roommates, but that's very different than living with your parents. And I found myself struggling with like just having less independence and just like the dynamic of living with your parents. So I added a line item called household and independence, and I was like, okay, if you would be comfortable putting money into rent, you can put a little bit of money every month into just making your space more you and creating, I don't know, I live in the basement and it's kind of like a basement suite type, so I'm just trying to make it fully my own kind of thing, and they have fully said I can do that, which is nice. And they don't actually really use the basement. Yeah, I added a line item there. So I didn't budget for that at the beginning of the month, but I spent $141.70. So I got stuff for the bar area. I got like a drying rack because I would like to start having all my own dishes downstairs and just being responsible for my own dishes and not feeling like I'm contributing to their clutter, you know? I got some stuff for the bathroom and then just some organization stuff. So that is what I got. So yeah, for spending, I budgeted $600 and I ended up spending $737.81. And I'm not too mad about it because, again, I ended up being totally fine and having extra money left over anyway, so I'm very happy with that. Now let's jump into the August budget. So for income, this is a 3 paycheck month for me, which is fantastic. Again, I do have multiple streams of income, so I have multiple jobs. The last 2 paychecks from my 9 to 5 will be slightly different going forward. I am moving into a new position. I was wage before, but I just accepted a full-time salaried role, so money will be taken out of my paychecks for the company's pension plan, which is well worth it to me. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what my take-home pay will end up being, so I'm just estimating really, really low because I, again, don't want to budget with money I don't have. Expenses, like I said, this is my first month not paying rent in years, so I'm so excited about that. That is such a relief. Everything else is the same. So phone bill is $94.63, Spotify $6.71, Kindle $10.49, and my checking account fee is $11.95. For gas, I budgeted $200. And groceries, last month was $150 that I budgeted. I've ended up going way over. This month I budgeted $225, so still lower than what I actually spent last month. But we will see. If I need to keep bumping the grocery budget up, I will, but I'm gonna try to be really mindful of like not spending too much on groceries. I do think I am already pretty mindful, but I just really want to be super conscious of it. Shopping deals, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have $548.78 budgeted for my expenses. For savings, I am again contributing to my emergency fund, and then I am saving $2,000 for a vehicle. I have mentioned this in other videos, but I am hoping to buy a vehicle in cash next year. So I just need to really put my foot on the gas and start saving. I'm not buying an expensive vehicle. I'm actually buying the vehicle that I'm currently driving. It's kind of a long story, but basically I had a beater Honda Civic, it was an 02, and then that kind of like exploded. And I needed a vehicle, so my parents let me use their old vehicle. It's an old Honda CR-V. So I've been driving that. I pay for all the maintenance and everything. So the last couple of years, they have allowed me to use that, but I'm no longer a full-time student, so I am expected to buy it. So I'm hoping to save $10,000 to purchase it. Yeah, this is the beginning of my saving for a vehicle journey. This is the first month I'm doing that. I'm expecting to purchase that next spring. All things go well. So definitely saving a lot this month. For sinking funds, I am contributing $55 to my therapy appointment account. I am not contributing to my beauty appointment account because I actually have a hair appointment this month, and because it's a 3 paycheck month, I'm just going to cash flow the hair appointment. So I'm just going to pay for the appointment and not put anything in this sinking fund for this month. I'm putting $100 away for Christmas gifts, $50 for vehicle maintenance, $600 for tuition, and then $30 travel, and $20 fund money. So in total, that is $855. For my investing, I am again just investing in those same accounts. So my TFSA and FHSA, tax-free savings account, and first home savings account. And I am putting more of my funds towards my FHSA because I do, as I mentioned, want to buy a home in the future, and I don't really like any of the rental options in my town. So I'm just kind of realizing like I kind of need to put a lot more of my effort into that account. Now let's jump into my spending budget. I already know August is just going to be spending, so I'm trying to budget very realistically for this month. So this is not low by any means, but I do think it's realistic. So dining out, I'm budgeting $50. I think this is very doable because last month on dining out for myself, I definitely spent less than that. And in August, I'm going to put intentional effort into keeping my dining out budget low, just because there is other spending in other categories that kind of has to happen this month. And I know dining out is a category I can keep low for August. Shopping, I am budgeting $125. So that is kind of on the lower end for me, but it does give me room to run out of my skincare, hair care products. Personal care, I budgeted $250 for my hair appointment. I'm not entirely sure how much it'll be. I hope not that much, but I do like to tip pretty well because I love my hairdresser. So gifts, I budgeted $85. We'll see. I'm notorious for going over my gift budget, but I do have a family member's birthday. Health, I budgeted $100. So I do have my $65 monthly gym membership. And then I also think I will need to refill a prescription this month. And I do have benefits starting this month, but I don't really know how much they're going to cost with the benefits covering. So I'm just going to keep it kind of expensive and we'll see what happens. Coffee, $20. So again, this is an area I know I don't need to spend a lot on. We have really good coffee here. We have a Breville espresso machine. I have a Nespresso. There's not really a need for me to spend on that too much. Hobbies, $10. Again, I would like to actually buy something for my hobbies. Like I would be okay if I went over budget on this, not gonna lie, because I'm like, why am I think I'm just like working too much and doing too many things. So I am hoping to kind of cut back on some of my work responsibilities, but we'll see. And then maybe I'll be able to bump the hobbies budget up a bit. Miscellaneous, I budgeted $140. So that is pretty high. But that is because I have to redo my first aid certification. I got my first aid almost 3 years ago, and that was 2 days, and it expires every 3 years. So now I just have to do a 1-day course, and I don't know for sure how much that's going to cost. I'm estimating like $90, but who knows? I might see if I can get my employer to pay for it, but we will see. I just thought I'd keep it in the budget just in case I do have to pay for it. And then that leaves me $50 extra for anything else that comes up. Experiences, I'm budgeting $20. Household and independence, so that's that line item I added last month to kind of make my basement suite area my own. I'm just budgeting $100 for that, so nothing crazy. Just enough to buy like a couple things, start chipping away at it, and just make it feel more like my space and more like I'm able to be independent, like just in my own space kind of thing. That is a total of $900 budgeted for spending, which is kind of crazy when you say it all total together like that. Like that sounds so high, but I do think this is very realistic. That is my August money reset. I really hope you enjoyed. Maybe this inspired you to kind of check in with your finances for the month. Stay tuned. I am hoping to do more of an organization and like household tasks reset. So that should be posted very soon. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. I will see you in the next one. Bye.